All right, everybody. Well, welcome to the next installment of our conversation with folks who submitted to be a part of the process for the United Methodist Young People's Address at General Conference 2016. Tonight, whenever you're listening to this, we are talking with Chelsea Spyres, who was actually chosen by the Division on Ministries with Young People to be one of the in real life speakers on Saturday, May 14th in Portland, Oregon. And we are excited about a chance to sit down with Chelsea tonight and talk with her a little bit about her background and what her particular interests in being one of the speakers for General Conference for the Young People's Address. Why she would do such a thing. Chelsea, welcome.
Welcome. Hello.
Chelsea, why don't you give everybody listening and watching a little bit of your background? How did you get to where you are today as we prepare to put this Young People's Address together for the church?
Yeah, so I am originally from Newark, Delaware, born and raised there. Attended a United Methodist Church in downtown Newark and was pretty active there growing up. More active by choice and not because my parents made me. Neither of my folks really attend regularly. And so I started going to church pretty young with my grandmother, and then very quickly became my own decision to kind of stick around and to be more involved. So stayed involved through high school and into college. The church was somewhere where I found family, where I knew that I was welcomed, where I felt like my voice mattered, and my voice was encouraged. So kept attending through high school and college, all kind of during that point, discerning a call into ministry and what that looked like. Was fairly certain going into undergrad at the University of Delaware that I would complete a degree there and then possibly attend seminary. But by the end of, or kind of the middle of college, was tired of sitting in a classroom. And so began to explore other ways and other possibilities for what was next. Was looking into some service opportunities, and a good pastoral friend of mine encouraged me to look into the US2 program. So it's a 2-year commitment to service through the United Methodist Church through Global Ministries. So I looked into that program and applied and was accepted. And was placed in Detroit. So I now live and serve in Detroit, Michigan, and work at an agency working with individuals experiencing homelessness. So we run lunch and social services 4 days a week in downtown Detroit. And really in this last year, just continue to fall in love after a year of service, have fallen in love with the city, and am now starting to explore what staying here past my original 2-year commitment looks like. As I, again, was fairly certain that seminary was next after my US2 time as a US2, but have just fallen in love with this city and the ways that God is moving here, and feel like I am being called to stay here a little bit longer than this initial 2 years. And so live and serve in Detroit now. I'm active in a local congregation here, along with helping run a small group kind of on a district level. And yeah, just continuing to be in relationships with young adults in Detroit through worship, through small groups, and continue to be transformed and continue to be challenged by the church.
A big part of the video that you submitted as a part of the process talked about some of the community that you experienced both during training and other times. Can you tell a little bit about how this most recent endeavor into the US2 life has been formative? Yeah,
so a year and a few months ago, all of us who were preparing to serve for these 2 years gathered in the Philippines for about a month of training before we would go off into our placement sites. So we gathered and from all across the world and preparing to serve in many different parts of the world. And so spent those couple of weeks together. And for me, this notion of relationship building has been at the center of how I live my life for a while now, and those relationships being challenged sometimes, but always kind of holding true, always being a way that I felt like God was calling me to serve and to love is through those relationships first. And that was really played out during our time in the Philippines and during training as we gathered with various backgrounds and as we got to know each other. And that step of just getting to know each other first before kind of diving into some of the deeper relationships or deeper conversations helped us to have those conversations in healthy ways and in holy ways. So yeah, I think those 3.5 weeks or so with my classmates really showed me how no matter where we come from and where we are going, that when we take some time together, taking some time to get to know one another, that the church can look a little different than it does at some points.
How does that look differently if you expand that to the rest of the church? Not every United Methodist can be a US2, although maybe they can.
Yeah.
They're recruiting currently to be a global mission fellow. But how do you envision that kind of transformative experience in community when translated to the life of your general United Methodist?
I think just that getting to know one another, getting to know where we come from and the backgrounds that we are coming into conversations with allows us to respect each other on a deeper level. It allows us to really hear where the other person is coming from. It allows us to be open to differences and being able to again, just be, while we might not agree, to be able to be respectful to one another, to be able to have those conversations and challenge one another while respecting and loving.
And it sounds like my 1-year-old is upstairs learning how to live in community at the same time as we're talking. Talk a little bit about your understanding of how the church gathers every 4 years for a large gathering full of worship and conversation and community and politics and legislation and budget, talks. Talk a little bit about your understanding of how General Conference can serve the broader purpose, the deeper purpose of the United Methodist Church and living in personal and social holiness, kind of in our Wesleyan heritage, and how that can be a means of grace, a formative community as well.
I think General Conference gives us a very unique opportunity, an opportunity to come together as laity, as clergy from all over the world, and to really be able to listen to one another, to be able to have these conversations and to be able to have these times together as a global church. I think something that stuck out in the Philippines during training and something that I think holds true for our denomination is that while we may disagree on some pieces, we are more similar than we are different. And we have more in common with one another.
Peter. In the community worldwide, Peter Cibuabua, welcome. Glad you could join us.
Yes, happy to see you. Are you ready there?
I'm really here. Hey, Peter.
I'm sorry to be there with the delay.
No problem, no problem. We are just checking up with Chelsea about some of her, what brought her to this point of being ready to be part of the Young People's Address, and I was just asking her a little bit about how she envisions General Conference as a moment when the church creates community that can transform people in God's grace, And Peter, in just a minute, I'll come to you. If you're thinking along those same lines of telling some folks what brought you to this place, being ready to share as a part of the Young People's Address, and how you envision that moment going forward, we'll come to you in just a minute. All right?
Yeah.
Great. Chelsea, I don't know if you had a chance to cast your grandest vision or the full vision there that you had for General Conference. Anything you want to follow up there with?
Yeah, again, just it's a beautiful opportunity, I think, to come together, to worship, to hear one another's backgrounds, to realize how we are more similar than we are different, and how God is working throughout the global, throughout the world, through our denomination in small rural towns to big cities, from one side of the world to the other, that God is at work, and that God continues to call us together as a denomination. Again, while we may disagree on small pieces, that as a large denomination we have more in similar than we do in different. I think it's just a great opportunity to see that in action, to see how God is working throughout the world, through young, through old, through all of our differences, that God continues to call us together and to call us to love the same way.
Thanks. Peter, why don't we start with you going backwards? What kind of expectations do you have for General Conference this time around, or in general, this global gathering of United Methodists, and how it can form us as deeper disciples of Jesus Christ?
Yeah. About the message that we give. Okay, Max.
Go ahead.
Yes, my expression is that people from all the world, I think they'll be touched with the message, and I really think the faithful message that is going to be given to the General Conference, and also from the young people. You know, the young people is their source and the resources of all the energy of a community. But when this message will be published, it will be given not only to the youth, not only to the young, but to all the church. Even our elders, they may apply what we will share with them by faith, and because we will present our requests, our needs, and also we will show them what are the thoughts of the young people, and how are they thinking for the future church to be, and how are they planning everything to be in the future. Sometimes they could expect that young people are just people that you could use in any way, but spiritually and physically they are still have energy and they are very strong. So people to the General Conference, they should expect that this message will impact in their lives, and mostly will impact in the future and the growing of the all United Methodist Church in the world.
We will be a part of gathering address. There'll be the laity address. There'll be the Episcopal address, and the young people will also speak to the church. What is it that brought you, Peter, to this point where you are? You said, "Yeah, I'd like to be considered to give that address." What are the formational events in your past that brought you to the place where you sent in your video and it was chosen by the Division on Ministries with Young People?
Would you please restart the question? I want to get it well.
Sure. We're just wondering, what in your past brought you to this place of saying, yes, I'd like to be considered to give that address, to share that message at General Conference? Were there particularly formative events for you that brought you to this place?
If really the question was to know about the past, and Carl, I'm sorry, Carl, make it really.
That's fine. Peter, we're just wondering, tell your story. What brought you to this, Peter, to this time that formed you in the church?
Of course. Yeah, I see the small piece of message. Yeah, the story that brought me there is just the faith and also the inspiration that we have for the church and the vision we have for the church. And the work we are doing in the church is not for anybody, but it's for God. Once we know that what we are doing is for God, and if our faith is strong and we are standing faith on what we believe, we could be everywhere and we could speak to anybody to push them and to assist them to strengthen their faith. But what brought me really in this was the way to share. The way to share about Jesus Christ in the world. This could help many people also to share and to bring people in the church and how to welcome them. That was really what I'm doing in my church. So I was really happy to share the experiences that myself I am doing in my church and I'm doing in my community, and also the thing that I'm an evangelist. We also use the way to go out. We are using outreach. If you can see on my Facebook, we are going outreach in 50 or 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, helping other people to make them have that hope that God is still also loving them, and they may strengthen themselves and know that they are not alone, but there is someone. That someone is Jesus Christ. So that is what brought me in this. Really, it's that.
Thanks, Peter. You bring up this important point that we are, in our life following Jesus, we're developing in prayer, we're developing in our own piety, but we're also called to witness. It's one of the membership vows now of the United Methodist Church. Chelsea, maybe I'll start with you. What do you think has been your most what's a moment of witness that you've already experienced that you want to bring with you to this other kind of witness that you'll do on stage at General Conference?
Like a witness of that was shared with me, or a witness that I shared? Which way?
Yes. Either way, whichever has been most formative for you.
I think the question of most formative is difficult, because I think when I look back on of those formative moments, right, like many moments of witness that have been shared through conversations with friends and with mentors. So that question of most formative, I think, is hard. But I would share a moment of kind of camping ministry, I guess you could classify it. Was able to work for a home repair ministry through summers between my semesters in college. And this ministry, so we youth groups would come to us, and as a staff we would help run their mission trip. So we'd be able to connect them with local homeowners who may just need some bushes removed, or maybe they needed a fresh coat of paint. Sometimes it was to build a wheelchair ramp to help folks get in and out of their home, a variety of projects. But I think back to those summers at camp and those summers of witness between us and the youth, and between the homeowners and us, and all of these relationships that were interconnected. And it is some of those nights at camp, through worship, through conversations one-on-one with youth or with their leaders, that I think were some of the most formative times. I think back to trips as I was a youth, and then the privilege of being able to help lead, and just how God works when you are sometimes intentional about taking that time to serve and taking that time to share. So yeah, I would say those summers at camp definitely shaped who I am and how I share now.
Peter, can you tell us more about the kinds of witness that you've experienced, that you've been a part of there in the Democratic Republic of Congo?
Would you repeat the question? Kind of witnesses?
Yeah, what kind of witness have you been a part? Tell us more about the kind of witnesses that you've been a part of, the sharing that you've done, going out into the community. Have you received witness from a particularly engaging ministry leader, and those kinds of experiences that you want to bring with you as you prepare to speak at General Conference?
Okay. What I would like to say about witness is just that I've been a witness myself of, I may say several, but I'll just list some. First, to the outreach that we used to go, it's called Mokabo. And that outreach is a small church. It's a baby, we can say baby church. But we went there last year. When we were there last year, we organized ourselves. We brought some goods like some clothes or some shoes and some money. The church is still with 20 people like that. But when we went this year, it was last week, Sunday. We went there and we could see that that motivated the church, and it motivated them to know that we also have a partner in the town that will help us. So myself as witness of seeing that the church is growing because we are helping them and also encouraging them with the word of God. Because once we are there, we are not just telling them we are going to help you, but we are telling them that once you get also what you have, try to have a vision on what you can do, and believe that is only God who is able to make you grow up. So that is a kind of witnesses in the mission that we are particularly doing for God. So that's a kind of witness.
It's a combination of word and deed, of Bible study and action at the same time. I think we're speaking from the strongest center of our shared faith heritage. It's really exciting that you both bring those variety of experiences to the address itself. In all of our conversations here with everybody that has submitted videos for the Young People's Address, even those that won't be giving the address on stage, we've been asking everybody, if they were on stage, what is the most important thing that they would want to share with delegates? For you both, I think this question, we'll still ask it here, but I guess the question is, what is one part of your address that you just don't want to leave the stage without saying? What is the core of the message that you want to share when you get up on stage? Chelsea, why don't you take a first crack at that?
I'm going to let Peter go first. I feel like I've gone first the majority of this. So
Okay.
Peter, I invite you to share first, Peter.
Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, good. Yes. What I would want to say before leaving the stage is that the young people should not be dragged just by people like that. We have to work with the truth and living in the truth with love. With those two things, our church will grow. But if we lose those two things, truth and love, I think we will kill the church.
But Chelsea, what is the most essential thing that you don't want to leave the stage without saying in Portland?
I would build off of what Peter started with the truth and love, and I think many times how that love is played out is through this notion of relationships, and that when we are able to build relationships with one another, when we are able to take the time to get to know one another, the church can be transformed, and would challenge both the delegate to hear that and to live that out during General Conference, but also our youth and young people to live that out, and the church in general to live that out each and every day. This notion of beginning with a relationship, beginning with love, and just being genuine in those relationships makes the biggest difference.
Peter, the other question that we've been asking everyone is, part of this address will be given to General Conference delegates. The other piece that we're trying to create is a moment for young people of the church to be in conversation together. So what is one message that you want to be sure that your address communicates to all the young people of the church?
All right. The message I want to share with the young people in the world is that we believe in God. That is our Almighty Father. But today we are almost forgetting what is our duty, young people, to empower the church spiritually and physically with our energy. We have been dragged in many faults and many situations that ourselves we are now not able to come out in. So what I'm telling or what I'm sharing with all the young people in the world is just we have to be united, as we are calling this church United Methodist Church. We have to unite it, have one word. Have one word. Where is bad, say bad. Where is good, celebrate and enjoy the goodness of God. So this can be a part of message to share with the all young people in the world.
And Chelsea, if you had the ear and the earbuds of every young person around the globe, what would you be sure to say to them?
I would share that you matter and that your voice matters in the church, that you have power to shape the conversation, that you have power to shape how the church is lived out each and every day, that your voice is wanted and that your voice is looked for, and to continue to speak, to continue to love, and to respond to the call that God places on each of our hearts, and that you do matter in this denomination, in this church, not because we are the future of the church, but because we are the now of the church, that we now is the time for your voice to be heard, not to wait until you are much older, but to speak now. The church is listening.
And again, my 1-year-old is upstairs speaking his mind very vociferously. Peter, Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah, what I wanted to add is that I also want to share with the young people in the world, telling them that the church wants every young people, whatever the kind of person we are, disability or not, everyone, the church wants us united, because the field is big, but the workers are few. So the church wants every one of us, all our fingers and our hands together to achieve the mission of Jesus Christ.
Amen and amen. Peter and Chelsea,
Amen.
Thanks so much for being with us tonight on this call. And people will be able to watch this and probably find you both on Facebook or some other places. I know that you're popping up in the United Methodist News, so I'm sure that people may be getting in touch with you. But they are, Peter and Chelsea will be busy drafting their the address, pulling in, curating input and videos from the other folks that have submitted their thoughts. And we really thank them for all their work, and we're looking forward to that Saturday of General Conference as we prepare to hear them live and in person. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
please go.
Young People's Ministries is a ministry of Discipleship Ministries, an international agency of the United Methodist Church. Young People's Ministries helps to equip leaders working with young people by developing youth and young adults as spiritual leaders of local congregations to transform lives by making disciples of Jesus Christ, and challenging the United Methodist Church to embrace, confirm, and celebrate God's call in the lives of young people.